start recording this session. Then I'm going to share it. All right. Let me just go through the old courseworks, network technology.
Hey, monkey.
1664.
Hey, monkey. Daddy, can you buy a mellow curtain?
I'm looking for the old coursework. So we look at some of the samples.
And that's it.
Okay. So this is how the coursework looks like. So this is the course code is Comp 1664. The course name is Network Technology. The course name is Network Technology. This is not term 1, actually, it's a term 2. And the course leader in Greenwich is Dr. Richard Anton. Contribution of this coursework. Contribution of this coursework is 100%. Contribution of this coursework is 100%. Then they are saying PDF required, meaning that when you are uploading, you don't upload a Word document, you upload a PDF. Due date, this is for the previous coursework. The due date was November 2nd, but ours are not yet out, so we are just using it as a sample. Okay, I don't want to talk about this yet for now. I'll just go straight into the coursework. I'll just go straight into the coursework. So the objectives of this coursework, to enable students to investigate network technology through simulations. So simulation is done via OPNET. Then to enable students to investigate the effects of various network traffic conditions on a network performance. That's another objective. Another objective, to enable students to gain experience of carrying out an experiment to collect and process experimental data and to present analysis results with clarity and depth. Then to enable students to appreciate the role and value of simulation tools when designing and analyzing network. To allow students to gain practical experience of using network modeling tool. So work mode, this task is to be completed individually, meaning that you have to complete it individually. Then the task, the emphasis of this task is to design and use of a model of a network as the basis for an investigation into the factors that affect the network performance. So the metrics for this coursework is to use throughput. Throughput is a matrix, delay as performance metrics. So we have two metrics, throughput and the delay. So we'll be measuring throughput and measuring delay also. So these are the two metrics. Every coursework, every network technology or advanced networks, or maybe network design and implementation, you have to use metrics to investigate. So it is necessary to build a realistic model of a network in order to perform reliable experiments and achieve meaningful results. So this coursework task is divided into 3 parts, A, B, C, plus a conclusion, which is also you gain some marks after you've concluded your coursework. So you should upload a single report containing all sections. So meaning that when you do part 1, part 2, part 3, then a conclusion, you have to merge this into one document and convert it into the PDF and convert it into the PDF. Then part A, let's start part A. So part A says designing a network modeling. Designing a network modeling. So design a network for a medium-sized company. You are going to design a network for a medium-sized company or an organization such as hospital or airport located at a single campus. So you need to come up with a network which will be located at a single campus. For instance, if you pick an organization, make sure that it will be a single campus, not whereby you have a campus maybe in Lusaka, another campus maybe in Chipata, another campus maybe in the Copperbelt. No, it will be just located in a single campus. So you can base the design on the requirements of an existing company or an organization, or you can invent one as long as all the network, as long as you design a network that will meet the user's needs. It doesn't matter whether the organization exists or it doesn't exist. So in other case, care must be taken to ensure the design is realistic, of course. So you need to clearly identify the organization's line of business and the data and communication needs they have, and thus determine the consequences this has on the network requirements. Some constraints are provided to guide you. So meaning, let's say if you are going to say, I'm designing a network for Cyber Academy. Part A, it will be like an introduction where you talk about the line of business concerning Cyber Academy. Then you briefly write the background of Cyber Academy, then the line of business. Like that, as a network designer, you'll be able to know that what type of network is needed. You'll be able to allocate the bandwidth because you know already what is involved. That's the importance of this task 1 or part A, designing a network and modeling it. So the network must be designed taking into account the type of business, of course, the type of business or organization you have chosen. And that must be appropriate for their network traffic, You can't design a network and yet you don't know what is involved. You have to know what is involved. So the network must be divided into at least 3 main subnetworks, each representing a department. So three main subnetworks. So these subnetworks, these are departments. So each department with its own LAN, with its own local area network. So we call them subnetworks. So each representing a department or a group of departments within the organization. Subnetworks must be interconnected with a network core containing at least 3 routers. So meaning that if I come up with 3 subnets, each subnet should have a router. Each subnet should have a router. So even if it's a even if it's a single network, it's quite big for it to have 3 routers. Thank you. For it to have 3 routers, meaning that it's a bigger network. It will be a bigger network. So the subnetworks must be interconnected to the network core containing at least 3 routers. Apart from these constraints, you have freedom over the actual design, but it must suit the needs of your chosen organization, and you need to justify this aspect. You need to justify this.
Just on one point.
Okay.
With these days, is it not possible to have quite a different subnets and just being managed by one core router?
Yeah, it is okay, but when you are when you are doing a coursework, we just do exactly what we are told to do. So this coursework, okay, they are saying routers should be 3. Routers should be 3. So in order for us to get the marks, we just follow the courseworks. So that's why we have to understand the requirement specification from this document and going to produce exactly what they need. So as a network designer, as a network engineer, you have to study the network you are going to design, because the clients are going to call you, the clients are going to give you the specification, and in this case, you are going to design according to what they have given you. So, for example, this document, let's say it came from one of the clients, and one of the clients, they have put the requirements. So for you, before you start designing the network, you are going to document it. You know, the most challenging thing in the networking world, the network developers.
Daddy, are you forgetting your headsets?
No, I have found. So the network designers, what they do, they rarely document the networks. It's very difficult like that. You don't even know where the cables are running to, from which port going to which computer, and you have a bigger organization like that. If the network is down, you won't even know which cable, which port to touch, because it's not documented. So the emphasis is on documenting the network. So that document we are going to produce, it's an example of a documentation. An example of a documentation. I know in software development, there's a lot of course, documentations. So we are still on part A. Critically discuss your diagram. You have to discuss your diagram, okay? Your diagrams. If it's a star topology, discuss about that star topology and the reason why you have picked the star topology. Explain the topology and technologies used, technologies provided. Used, I mean, like, definitely you are going to use Ethernet technology. Provide justification in terms of company you have chosen. Whatever you are going to choose, the type of technologies, the type of topologies, you really have to justify. You need to justify why you have chosen such technologies or that topologies. You really have to justify. You have to give reasons. There are specific network needs. Okay, you have conducted a background research. Let's say if you are doing a cyber academy, then you have to give a specific key networking needs. as a client, we'll give you what you want. Then you have to give us now, you have to tell us what we need. So if it's buying certain technologies, you have to put it on paper. Definitely they are going to buy. Then create and test a model for your design. You have to create and test the model for your design. For part A only, the topology aspects of the model is expected. So you are going to draw the model using the Microsoft Visio. You can use Microsoft Visio to draw the topologies. You can use eDraw if you have the eDraw, or you can use other applications to draw the. This is the logical topology. This is the logical topology. The physical topology will come in when you start now designing in OPNET. So this part A, it's just about you documenting, giving the background of that particular organization, stating the type of technologies that you have chosen, then also justifying why you have chosen that technology, and also talking about the topologies. Any questions? Do we have questions? By the way, this is just a sample. Your courseworks are not yet out, but whatever you see there, whatever you see on this screen, it's what is coming. So today, I've decided that we are going to do now the practicals. On Saturday, we agreed that I should install the OPNET because we'll be using the software OPNET for the networks designing. Few came, others didn't come, but I'm assuming that you've got the software already installed. Okay, so let's look at part B. Part B says you are required to evaluate the performance of your network. You are required to evaluate the performance of your network under realistic conditions. Workload is constantly fluctuating, okay? Workloads can fluctuate. Today you've got a high load, tomorrow not much, midday you have a lot. So in real networks can vary significantly. Therefore, you should test the network under a range of different workloads, types, and intensities. So we can design a network and come up with a lot of scenarios. Then each scenario, maybe we can have different loads. The first scenario, maybe if we say we are going to use loads like the types of users. Scenario 1, we have 100 users. Scenario 2, we have 200 users. Scenario 3, we have 300, 500, just like that. Then we can compare which traffic or which network model will be overloaded. So in terms of network traffic modeling, it's not up to you to say, I'm going to measure the number of users or I'm going to measure the links. The coursework itself, it tells you what to do. As I said, you are not allowed to do anything apart from what is written on this coursework. So this step, they say see below, set up your best workload model on which you perform the majority of experiments. Yes, go. However, that's in section C. However, it is often interesting to test the network under significantly higher workload than I expected to occur. To stress test your network design, to do this, you could try doubling or quadrupling the traffic intensity in your best workload. Devise a realistic network traffic model for your organization. So 1, determine at least 3 staff profiles. These are the sub-networks we talked about. These are the departments. For instance, we can have a IT department, we can have a human resource department, we can have monitoring and evaluation department. So those are the examples of the 3 staff profiles. These are the profiles. These are the departments. So there might be a profile defining, let's say we talk to sales and so on. So depending on the organization scenario, identify the roles of the staff in this profile. What type of work do they do? So when you are documenting, you can say, if you say sales, then you can briefly explain what function sales department carry. You document. Then after that, you are going to determine with justification the type of application traffic you can give them. Let's say when I look at sales, is it necessary that we can give them emails? If it's necessary, you write how they are going to use these emails. FTP, is it necessary we can give them FTP, HTTP, database, telnetting, and so on. So you can give these types of applications. Just a minute. Okay, stop making noise. So we'll talk about these types of applications later, but these are the examples: email, FTP, HTTP, database, telnetting is there. We also have video conference, we have voice, and so on. So we can determine, let's say we have 3 departments: sales, HR, or maybe a human resource. Then you should determine these 3 departments I have, what type of applications can they have? What type of applications can they have? These are the example applications. So you document. Let's say sales, I've given them emails because of so. FTP, I've given them also FTP, I've given them HTTP, I've given them databases. I'm not giving them telnet because sales, they are not responsible for configuring the networks. Telnet, we use it for configuring the network remotely. If you don't want to travel, you can just telnet. If it's not something physical, like the cable is cut, then after we have determined the type of applications and the intensity, let's say if we say email, is it heavy, is it low, or it's medium? Depending on the type of services we have given them and what they actually do. Then after you have done that, you have to configure your model to reflect this network traffic model. This requires that you set the interval, times, and the message size appropriately. Then you run your model. So I'm not going to talk about C yet. Let's design a network now. Oh, this is part B. So I'm going to open OPNET. I'm going to open OPNET. Let's hope I still have it. Okay. Okay, this is OPNET. If your machine is a 64-bit, you have to go to 64-bit. Then you have to right click, go to more, run it as an admin. You have to run it as an admin. Then, okay, it will time out. As I told you, it's a trial Zoom. After 40 minutes, you have to restart. You accept, you go to File, you click New, then it's a project, you click OK. It's OK. Okay, so when you click OK, it takes you to that page where you give a project name. I'm going to say, actually the project name always starts with your first initials if you want. I can say O, I can say O, underscore, put underscore. Then I'm going to say first, I'm going to say first class, first NT class. Then let me just leave it scenario 1 like that. If there will be need of naming it, we'll rename it.
So did you go to new or you went to open?
I went to new. Just follow what I'm doing. Then
okay.
After that, then you can practice on your own. Then scenario name, I can change a scenario name. Then let's say the scenario name, I can say this scenario name will be, what do you want to concentrate on the scenario 1? Okay, maybe just leave it. Then you click OK. When you click OK, we'll go to this setup wizard initial topology. There we are going to choose the type of topology, but we always choose create an empty scenario because we are starting the network from the scratch. We are starting the network from the scratch. So just click next. When you click next, where we are now, we are going to choose, this is the network scale. We'll choose, is it a world, is it an enterprise, is it a campus, office, logical, or choose from the maps. We are doing an enterprise. Let's do an enterprise. Let's do an enterprise. Or let's do campus. Just do campus, then we go to next. Then the size. Let's put it in meters, right? Then I'm going to say y-axis can be 100. Then y-axis can be x 100, y-axis can be 150. Is it too big at the campus?
How are you coming up with those numbers?
Let's say when you want to buy, when you are buying a land, they measure in meters, isn't it? 100
Okay.
by 50 meters, 20 by 25 meters. So we want to see how big this campus can be. Maybe 100 by 50 or by 150 is too big, isn't it? Or it's okay?
It's okay.
It's okay.
So we leave it there. Then we go to next. You get out, go to the bedroom, I'll beat you. So where we are now, we are choosing technologies. In the real world, we are buying the technologies. So what we have to choose here, when you are designing a network, you need tools, right? You need, I don't know if it's Cisco switches, you need routers, you need cables. We choose from here, where it says select technologies. We are selecting now the technologies. So we are going to select, we need Cisco, okay. On the left side, it said model family. The right side, it said include. So when I just click on no, that no will turn into yes, meaning that you have picked that device, that technology. We'll also pick Ethernet. We'll pick Ethernet. You just click on Ethernet. It turns yes, meaning that you have selected that. Then do we need frame relay? Frame relay is a link. Maybe for now, no. We don't need frame relay. Then just a minute.
What's wrong?
Nothing.
What are you doing?
So we are going to choose also Internet toolbox. Internet toolbox contains a lot of devices. It contains switches, contains routers for Ethernet technologies, contains other cables also. So we need that. Then we need LANs. LANs, they come as a switched LANs. Then links, I'll pick links. Then I'll pick all the links, advanced links, links PPP, point to point, I'll pick them. Then what else? Routers, yeah, I'll pick routers, just routers. I don't need advanced routers. Then servers, I'm going to go for IBM. I'll go for IBM. Then I think so. These are enough. Then when you finish selecting the technologies, you just go to next. The next page is showing the types of technology you have selected. If you remember that you didn't select the technology that you want, you can always go back. You can always go back and start. You can always go back and start selecting. Okay, I think we are okay with what selected. Then you click finish. When you click finish, it will be now collecting the technology that you have selected. It will put them in a palette. So when designing, we'll be using a palette, what we call a palette. Okay, so what you see there, it's a palette. What you see there, it's a palette. Okay, what you see, it's a palette. Now, by the way, this session will time out. Then you have to log in 1 hour remaining, less than an hour remaining. Okay, that's a palette. If you lose a palette accidentally, let's say I close this palette, you can find it there. Are you able to see the cursor?
No.
Yes.
The cursor is there on the top left corner where it says open object palette. When I click there, a palette will open. A palette will open. Okay. Are you all able to see the cursor?
Yes.
Okay, so I've opened the palette. I've opened the palette. Okay. I've opened the palette.
Sorry, just a second.
Okay.
This whole validating node and whatnot, how long is it supposed to take?
Depending on how fast the computer is, actually the minimum you should have, I think a 3 dual core, I mean i3. The computer should be faster in the sense that we are dealing with a very huge software simulator, a network software simulator. So it needs a faster computer. The minimum RAM should be 4. The minimum RAM should be 4.
Mine seems to be looping, I think.
It's looping. What are the specification of your computer?
They're okay.